Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, so thanks everyone for joining. I know I appreciate your interest. So today my session is like what's new in Angular 14. So I hope everyone know about Angular. Previously we had a session by Pankaj like monorepo with Angular. So I think that monorepo, like when you have large number of projects, that architecture will be very much helpful. And it depends upon your project. Like if you go for monorepo, like you can choose for it. Like today we'll see what are the as Hasan mentioned, two or three. I think in June we got this new version Angular 14. So those who are not aware, like what is Angular? So basically, it's a framework. So it's just a framework where you can build web applications. And it has a lot of enterprise projects. We have a lot of enterprise projects running on Angular, and even our IRCTC site is running on Angular. So likewise, large applications and large enterprises use Angular framework. So it's they have a lot of features like routing, lazy loading, and double binding and pipes, directives. There are a lot of features available which makes web development very much easier. And also they have IV compiler which makes to load your site faster. And there are a number of concepts. So it's just a framework to create some web application. So in this session, we'll see what are all the updates. So my session is like, I don't have much of slides, so I have only 4 to 5 slides, but we'll see a detailed demo, like what's the thing like before Angular 14, how you will do things, and after Angular 14, how you can do stuff. So that's how I'm going to compare, and I'm going to do some live coding stuff. So we'll just move on to the session. So before starting, as Hasan mentioned, so my name is Suhas. So I'm working as a senior full stack engineer, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer. So that's my Twitter handle, Suhas_Parameshwara. You can follow me if you're interested. Yeah. So this is just a simple agenda. So we'll just go through the Angular updates and demo and closing notes. So it's going to be very simple, and we'll just go straight forward to the session. So there are a lot of things happening in Angular, but I want to highlight these five stuffs here. So there are apart from these five updates, like there are three more. So we'll also see that if we have time. But I would like to highlight these some of the important updates here. First one is the standalone components. Um, the second one is typed forms and page title accessibility, extended developer diagnostics, and Angular CLI enhancements. So for the first 2 points, like we will see a detailed demo. Like these two things have been introduced newly in Angular 14. So we'll see before Angular 14, what's the challenge we have faced, we have faced in the past, and how Angular 14 solved it by bringing these two features. And for the last three features, like I have a simple a GIF which explains how you can do stuff easily. So we'll directly jump onto the demo. Like first, we'll see about what is standalone components. Okay. So let me quickly share my screen. Again, I'll just try to reshare. So just give me a minute, guys. I'm just trying to go to Stack Blitz. Okay, let me try to reshare my screen. Is my screen visible, Asan? I think you are on mute.
Yeah, sure. So we can view your
Yeah,
window.
yeah, thanks. Okay, so here I thought of using VS Code, but we have this cool stackblitz.com where you can run Angular based upon your environments. Like even you can run Angular 12, 13, etc. So for this demo, I'm going to use this stackblitz, and I can easily can share this demo if you want. So that's why I'm going to use this stackblitz.com. So here, as you can see, we have this Angular 14. And this is the project structure we have in Angular 14. The first thing we are going to see is standalone components. So by the name definition, what is standalone component? So in Angular 13, so let's say I'm going to, so this is a simple hello component, right? So in Angular 13 or before, before Angular 13, uh, I need to create a component, and how can I use this component? I need to mention this component in a module. So let's say you need to have this component in the declaration of the respective module. So what does this do is, so let's say I want to create a component and I want to use it in another component. So that's possible. So basically I can use this hello component in this app component. So how can I do it? I need to create a module for it, and then I need to mention that hello component in this module, and I have to use it, right? So likewise, so whenever you create a component, you need to declare it in a module. So basically component and module is like, is like tightly connected, right? So without modules, it's like, without modules, component won't work. So that's how it was tightly connected before Angular 14. But what does this standalone component do is, you can create a component and you can use it without declaring it in any of the modules. So that's the cool stuff you can do. So basically component is independent of modules. So that's how I can say it. So in Angular 14, that's possible. So I'll just open another any example, like I'll go to Angular 13, any Angular 13 stack blitz. Okay, so here I'll just remove this code, and I'll just save it. So this is like some a dummy code from, some other stack blitz. So here you can see we are using Angular 13 here. So let's say here I have to create a component. So I'm just going to create folder, and I'm going to say login folder, and here I'm going to create a component which says login dot component dot ts. Okay, so here I have this login component, and I'm going to create a login component. All right, and you have to use a decorator to mention it as a component. And you have to give the selector. So basically selector is something, so it's just keeps on loading. So let me do a refresh. Okay, so we'll just type and we'll see how it goes. So for now, I'm going to create a login component. So I'm just going to copy some code from here, and I'm going to just rename it here because we save some time for it. So I'm going to create a login component, and I'm going to say it as app login, and we don't have a template URL. So I'm just going to mention the template directly here. So I'm going to say h1 and h1. I'm going to mention it as login component. I'm just going to erase this, and we don't have any styles for it. Okay, so I have this login component here. Not sure why this is keep on loading here. Starting dev server. Okay, so for now we'll just ignore this window. So I have created this login component. So let's say I need to use this login component in this app component, app component.html. How can I do it? So basically I need to declare this component in any of the modules. And that's how I can use this component. So let's say I need to use this in app component. I need to mention this login component in the declaration part of modules. So I need to declare it here, and I need to use the respective import statement. Login component, and I have to say from login, and I should say login dot component. So once this is mentioned, you can directly use this use this selector, and you should be able to use it here likewise. Okay. So basically, as you can see in the demo, So whenever you create a component, you need to import this in the declaration of any of the modules and you have to use it. So that's how it has been for till Angular 13. But in Angular 14, you can actually create a component which is independent of modules. So let me go to Angular 14 and we'll see how we can do it. So basically I have this hello component. So this is a normal component. So basically now we can say it as normal component and standalone components. So basically you can create two types of components in Angular from Angular 14, which is normal and standalone component. So let me create a standalone component. So I'm just going to right click and create a new file and I'm going to say standalone.component.ts and I'm just going to okay, so let me try to type it. Export class standalone component and that component and the selector would be have hyphen standalone and here template would be I'm going to say h1 h1 I'm going to say standalone component. Let me just do a quick import. So what's the difference between hello? So this is a normal component and this is the standalone component. So how you can say it? So basically you have to tell the Angular like this is standalone component, right? For that you need to, we have a new flag introduced in this component decorator, which is standalone. You have to mention it as true. So now this behaves as a standalone component. Okay. So first we'll just try to ignore this. So let me try to comment it out. So let's say if this is a normal component. So how can I use it in app component? So basically I need to copy the standalone component and I need to go to app.module and I need to mention it in the declaration. And I need to give the import statement. And once this is done, I can able to mention it here app standalone. So here you can see standalone component came, right? So this is how you can create a normal component. So let's see what's the difference does it make when you create a standalone component. So let me try to undo here and I also undo here and let me just save it. And I'm going to make this standalone as true. OK. So now so let's say I have made it as a standalone component. Instead of mentioning it as in the declaration section, you need to mention it in the module in the import section. OK. So basically, you can create a component. So let's say if I go to standalone component, you can create a standalone flag, and you can give the imports of the respective component here. So let's say I need only reactive forms module. So let's say I'm going to go if I'm going to use any forms module, reactive forms or template driven forms, I'm going to mention it as forms module. And here we'll directly import the forms module in the standalone component. So this you cannot do it for a normal component. So you can import the respective dependency of a component directly in the standalone component where you cannot do it in the normal components. So let's say we use reactive forms in this normal component. So those dependencies you have to mention it here, mention it in the app.module. So let's say I'm using reactive forms in hello component. I need to mention the forms module in app.module. You cannot directly mention this forms module in this hello component, which is not possible. But in standalone components, so let's say I'm going to use any template driven or reactive forms, I can directly mention the module in this imports array. So once this is done, the same you can directly use it here. So let's say app hyphen standalone. Now the same stuff work. OK, so instead of mentioning it in the declaration, I'm going to make it as in the imports module. So one other main advantage is, so let's say I'm going to create here shared maybe shared module. And in this shared module, I'm going to create uh, what I can say as customer component, and I'm going to say um, and I can say it as admin component. Okay, so I have two components created, and I'm just going to copy this code and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to rename it as customer component, and selector would be app hyphen customer, and here there won't be template URLs, there will be just template, and I'm going to mention it as h1 slash h1 customer component. I don't have any styles for it, and I'm just going to copy and paste it here, and I'm going to mention the admin component, app hyphen admin and admin component. Okay, and I'm going to wrap it in a shared module. I'm going to create a shared module.ts. Okay, for this I'm going to just going to just copy this, and I'm going to paste it here. So here, instead of app module, I'm going to say it as shared module, and I'm going to import it, and I don't have bootstrap in the declaration. I'm going to mention it as admin component and customer component. Okay, and yeah, I'm going to import. I don't need browser module, and I don't need any forms module. So basically I don't need any imports. And in the exports, I'm going to mention the same admin component and customer component. Okay, so here I have a shared module. So what is the purpose of the shared module? So let's say I need to use admin component and customer component in app.module. I can just import this shared module in app.module. So let's say I need to use this. So basically this is a separate component and this is a separate component. So how you can communicate, basically how you can connect this component, these two stuffs is basically using this shared module. So I'm going to import this shared module in app.module. I'm going to mention it in the imports. So once this is done in the app.component, I'm going to mention it as app admin. So as you can see, admin component has been rendered, and the same goes for app customer. Okay. So now it got rendered. So basically we created a connection between these two stuffs using a module, shared module, right? But instead of creating a shared module, so it would be good uh, so let's say in this app.component, I need only admin. I don't need customer. But when we use this shared module directly in app.module, basically we are trying to use all the dependencies of the shared module, right? So in some scenarios, there will be 10 components in a shared module and you'll use only one or two components. So that's where before Angular 13, we had a pattern called Angular scam. So let me go to it. So this is basically single component Angular module. So they'll call it as single component Angular module. So basically, whenever you create a component, you'll create a module for it. But that would lead, that would also lead to creating more number of modules, right? So let's say I need to let me go to the demo here. So I need to create a module for admin, and I need to create a module for customer, and I need to create separate modules for separate components. So that would be very tricky, right? So you'll for every single component you need to create a module. So that will be very uh, what to say that would lead to create more number of modules. But let's say if you have a standalone component, I can simply ignore the shared module. So let us just try to change this shared module, and we'll just try to convert this as standalone components. So for now, I'm just going to delete this shared module. So basically we are going to receive errors. So that's expected. And I'm going to make this as standalone as true. Okay. And I'm also going to make this admin component as standalone as true. And let's say I need only admin component to be used in app component. I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to mention it in the imports. Let me try to import it. Yeah. And if I go to app.component and so as you can see, I can able to see the admin component. So it's basically hereafter you don't need to create. So basically this module scam pattern is simply the standalone components. So hereafter you don't need to create a module for every component and it's not necessary to follow this module scam pattern. So instead of it, you can just make this component as standalone and uh, just mention this component in the imports section. So basically normal components. So let's say hello component is a normal component. So you mention this component in the declaration section, but let's say if it's a standalone component, you need to mention it in the imports section. OK. So this basically helps us to avoid creating more number of modules for single component. So that's the advantage of this standalone components, and I see it as a very much powerful feature because uh, this leads us to more so basically Angular follows the component driven architecture, but it was tightly coupled with the module. So whenever you create a component, you need to create a module and you need to do stuff. But this standalone components uh, let the path of saying in Angular as a component driven architecture. So here just you have to just create a component and don't worry about the modules. And whenever you want to reuse this component in another modules, so just take this component and use it. So it's not necessary to create a shared module. Hereafter, when you go for when you create standalone components, I think when the creation of shared modules will become less. So this is a very much powerful feature, I would say. But you should also not go to creating more number of standalone components. So it's based upon your project. So let's say if you are reusing 5 components in all the modules of your projects, you need to create it as a shared module. So let's say you have a component and you are reusing it only in 2 modules and you are not reusing it in the remaining 3 modules, you need to create it as a standalone component. So that's how it is. And I hope this feature gives you some idea of of how you can use it in as a standalone component in Angular. So the next stuff I'm going to see is the typed forms. So we'll go to typed forms and we'll see what the changes we have done in Angular 14. So let me go to Angular 13 forms and we'll try to come up from there. And I'm going here. Okay, Angular 14 and Angular 13. Okay, okay, it's it's still loading, my bad. So let me just close this and I'm going to open a new Angular 13 stack blitz. So let's see if it compiles now. Okay, it says error. Okay, my bad. Okay, so let me open any forms example. Forms stack blitz. Okay, I have this. Okay, so basically this is the form. This is the reactive form here we are seeing. So I hope you are aware. In Angular we have 2 types of forms. One is template driven forms and the next one is the reactive forms. Template driven forms is basically use ng model for double binding and for retrieving data. And in reactive forms we use this form group and form control and form array to build your forms. So here, so let's say a normal example would be, so basically in this reactive form, I have this name form control. So basically this is the name. This is a form control, and nickname is another form control, and email is another form control, and password is another one. So let's say in this name, I'm going to give a number. Okay. So basically I don't want any numbers, or let's say I have another. So let me create another form control. So let's say uh, what I can say is um, so let me say it as age, and I'm going to this. So I'm just creating some Boolean value, and I'm going to create a new form control, and I'm going to make it as true. Form control, yeah, it's a typo, and I have this is exist as a Boolean, and I'm going to okay, ignore this piece of code, so don't worry about it. So I'm just going to create a div class row. I'm just going to create some input box, put type equal to text, and form control name equal to. I'm just going to copy this is exist. Okay, so we have this input box and it has true, right? So let's say what if I'll type it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Right? And let's say we are receiving some value from API. So basically what happens is we'll get some value from API and we'll bind it to this form. So basically we have a thing called patch value. So this dot reactive form dot patch value. So basically what does patch value does is, so let's say I'm getting an object from the API like this, and I'm trying to bind it. So during that binding, so let's say this name comes as a Boolean instead of string. It binds actually, so it won't throw any error. So that's the problem we face in before Angular 13. So basically we don't have any concept called typed forms. It's basically whatever value you give, like it'll accept. It won't throw you any error. So that's the problem we faced during Angular 13. So that's the one of the main drawback. So in this patch value, I could be able to give something like name, maybe true, and so as you can see, name has been binded as true, but I need it as a string. So here we have defined it as a string, but in this patch value, I have given it as true. It's not right, basically. For whenever I get data, so basically I should get an error, right? As you know, name is kind of a string. Let's say if I give it as is exists, let me try to copy this and let me give it as a string, and we'll see what happens. So as you can see, the test has been appended. So this is the problem in Angular 13. So I am expecting some Boolean value, but whatever value you give, like it'll it will bind actually in the form. So that's how it behaves, and it won't show you any error. So let us try to create a form in Angular 14, and we'll see whether it shows any error, and let us see how we can avoid it. Okay. So I'm going to Angular 14. So we'll use this same component here. So I'm going to hello component, and I'm going to create some, let's say, hello form group, and I'm going to mention it as form group. Okay, and I'm going to ng on in it. Before that, I need to implement it. Implements on in it, and it comes from Angular core. Yeah. And inside ng on in it, I'm going to say this dot hello form group equal to new form control. So let me just go and copy some code here so we can save some time. So inside this reactive form, okay, I'm going to say new form group. I'm just referring some code to copy. So instead of form control, we create a form group. Sorry for it. And Inside it, I will just keep it very simple. I'm going to say name, and I'm going to mention it as new form control. Okay. And here I'm going to set some default value as Suhas, and I'm going to say it as validators dot required. Okay. And name age, and here I'm expecting this as a number, new form control, and I'm going to uh, giving some default value, validators dot required, and the last one is um, I am expecting some Boolean value, so I'm giving it as is alive, and new form control to validators dot required. Okay, so here we have created a simple reactive form group. For this, I need to import the reactive forms module here. Okay, and here let me try building a form. So let me try to copy some code here. Just going to copy, and I'm just going to paste it here in this reactive form. Okay, I cannot do it here. I need to do it in hello.component, which doesn't have a HTML file. My bad. So let me create hello.component.html, which comes here. So hello.component.html. Okay, I think it would be dot slash, and it would be template URL. Let me go here and let me try to create a form. Form group comes from hello form group. Okay, and here I'm going to div class form group. And here we have a label which says name. Input type is going to be text, and the class equal to form control, and the form control name would be name. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, why it has been broke. Okay. Let me simply use a BR tag here. Okay, so here as you can see, the Suhas has been binded for this form group. So because I have given the default value as Suhas, and let me just copy this div and paste it twice, and name, age, and is alive. Here I'm going to mention it as age and is alive. Okay, so for now we'll try to comment this out. Yeah. So here, as you can see, I have this hello component. We create a reactive form and we gave the name, age, and is alive as true. So let us try to patch some value here. Okay, and we'll see whether we can patch it. And I'm going to say patch value, patch. Okay, I'll just call it as patch value. And I'm going to say this dot hello form group dot patch value. And here I'm going to mention it as name as what we can give. Okay, awesome. And age, I'm not sure. So let me just give some random 30. Sorry for it doesn't. And is alive as true. Okay. So let me create a button here. Button type equal to button, and just close it, and click would be patch value. Okay. So let us just click patch and we'll see whether it works. Okay, yeah, it works. Like the value has been changed, and I can also able to let us see if reset form group works. This dot hello form group dot reset. We'll also copy and paste it here, and we'll just use reset. Okay, patch and reset. Okay, so basically reset, it would basically reset the whole form, and if I give patch, it will give the value. So let me try to refresh by refresh, like it will show me some source 25 alive, etc. So let us see if I can give some string here. Okay, yeah, it's possible. So basically, if I give patch, the string is appending. So let me see how typed forms helps here. So in this form control, I can give it as boolean. Okay, so if I give a boolean and let me, so basically you can mention the types here. So as form control as boolean, and here also I can mention it as number, and here it would be um, I can say it as string, right? Okay. So basically, you can define these kind of values, and you can also give a type in form group. So basically, you can also create some class. So let's say I'm going to create export interface and student. Okay, and inside the student we'll have name as string and age as number and is alive as boolean. So based upon this interface, you should be able to create a form group. Does not satisfy the constraint. Why name age is alive? Okay, why not? Is alive types of property or a type string is not assignable to type. Okay, I think I'm doing something wrong here. So basically, what I am here to convey is, you can basically mention your types here, and you can let's say if so basically there'll be an error thrown here. So I was able to do it in VS Code, but I'm not sure why it's not coming in Stack Blitz. So what happens is if you patch a value and if you give a string, basically it will throw the compilation error. It will if you hover on it, it will have this red squiggly line, and it will throw you some error. It says like it expects only boolean, but you have given it as a string. So that's the power of typed forms. So previously what happens is in Angular 13, as I mentioned here, if you have a boolean value, you can also bind, you can also patch uh, you can also patch string or number, etc. But this typed forms behaves only whatever the type it accepts you should give, or else it will throw you compilation error. But I think well, I'm not sure what's wrong I'm doing. So I'll try to figure this out, and since I have only 10 minutes, I also need to cover other topics. I'll just hold it here. So basically what I need to convey here is you can mention the types of a form control here, or else you can also define the type of a form group. So that's totally possible. So let me try to give it here maybe. I think that's the stuff I'm doing. No. Okay, that's also wrong it seems. Okay, so let me try to figure this out, and I'll prepare this demo and I'll share it with Asan. But simply to say, you can mention the types, and based upon the types only you can bind the value. Without the types you cannot do it. So that's simple. Okay, so let us go to the slides. So I hope for the first two we saw the demo like standalone components. You can create standalone components irrespective of the module. So hereafter you don't need to follow any scam pattern. You can directly create components and you can use it. So that's possible. And typed forms, you can mention types for your form controls or form groups, and you can able to create it. So basically, it's very much powerful than Angular 13. As I mentioned the demo in Angular 13, we saw how you can bind a string value to the Boolean value. So that's not right. So using this typed forms, we'll also get compilation error. That's very much useful. So let us go to page title accessibility. So let me switch and let me swap. Okay. So the next one is the page title accessibility. So basically page title accessibility is basically you can define titles for your route. So you cannot do it in Angular 13, but from Angular 14 you can able to give titles and you can able to render your titles. You can get the title from the routing and you can able to bind it in your respective component. So that's totally possible. So that's the new thing they have brought it in Angular 14, which makes our life easier. So before that, you need to use the data attribute and inside the data, you need to pass the respective values. But here we have this title attribute and you can make use of it. And this is my favorite one, the extended developer diagnostics. So as you can see in the GIF image, most of the developers we make we make some mistakes. It's fine, it's natural, but the compiler won't throw error like this. So basically, they have this they have improved their Angular language feature where let's say if you forget anything or if you do something wrong, so in this GIF, as you can see, the banana box syntax is wrong. The double binding is wrong. So it says you have used it wrong and you have to change it like this. So that's the best part. It doesn't say what you have done wrong. It also say you need to change like this. So that's the main advantage of this in extended developer diagnostics. So hereafter, you don't need to worry about it. So this banana box syntax, it won't, when we use VS Code, it won't show you what went wrong. And when you compile only, it will show you like you have, mentioned like this and you need to change it. But here when you type itself, like it will show you the error. So that's one of the main advantage they have brought it in Angular 14. So this will be very much helpful for the developers, who use VS Code, and this will save a lot of time. You don't need to worry to view the error only after the compilation. So as you type, it will show you the error. So it will save a lot of time. So likewise, there are a lot of improvements done in this developer diagnostics. What are the common mistakes we do as a developer? All the cases has been handled, and it will be very much useful for us. And Angular CLI enhancement. So this is also so those who use Git in Bash, we have this auto completion, right? Whenever you type something and when you press tab, like it will auto complete. So they have brought it in Angular CLI. So if you type ng space g, like it will show you the full command. So as you can see in the GIF, if you just type ng and if you type something ge and press tab, it will auto complete stuffs. And this is some of the Angular CLI enhancement they have done, and you don't need to worry about the command, right? So whenever most of them, will forget about like how to generate components, generate modules, etc. So hereafter, like you just need to type ng g and press tab, like it will switch to multiple commands like git, and they can able to use that command. So this is one of the coolest thing they have done in Angular CLI, and we have. Uh, a couple of things in Angular CLI like ng cache and ng analytics has been improved in this Angular CLI. So this is one of the coolest enhancement also, and these are the 5 important updates I had. So before going on to the end of the session, I also need to go through the Angular 14 update blog. Angular 14 updates. So this is the blog, like yeah. So on June 3rd, like Angular 14 got released, and yeah, here we have covered about the standalone components and the typed Angular forms. So this was the example I thought to show you. But yeah, this is different. And best practices, yeah, as a page title accessibility. Like you can mention the title here. So this also we went through, and extended developer diagnostics. And as I mentioned, you can catch the invalid banana in box syntax. And so basically null is calling. So basically you can create a so let's say if you're using null is calling operator and you want to take it as a warning, you can mention it in the tsconfig.json. And we have tree shakeup error messages. It will be a detailed error message. So instead of as I mentioned earlier, instead of saying like what went wrong, it will show you like what you can do to make it right. So that's the main advantage of it. And built-in protected component members. And so these are simple stuffs. And I'm not going to cover Angular CDK. Like if you're interested, you can just go through this blog. And as I mentioned, Angular CLI enhancements like ng completion and ng analytics and ng cache. So and yeah, I forgot to mention here. So basically, Angular dev tools, it was available only in Chrome, but it is also available in Firefox from Angular 14. Like in Firefox, we have this Angular dev tools where you can where you can see the overall performance of your Angular application. So let's say if you are using any Angular application, and if you click in inspect, so there'll be a new tab called Angular. And from that you should be able to view the performance bundling, etc. So basically I'll share this link in the chat, and maybe Hasan can share it with the members. So let me open the chat and let me just paste it here. Okay, so this is the link. I'll ask Hasan to also post it in the Facebook wherever you need. And I think those were all the items I had today. I hope you learned something new here. And if you want to stay connected, so this is my Twitter handle, Suhas Paramesh, and I also write blogs. So I'm also a blogger. I also speak at meetups. So this is my blog site, like devsuhas.com, and Techme360 is another community. I also write blogs. So devsuhas.com is my personal blog site. So basically, I write about Angular. So let me just show you that site. Okay, so this is my site. So I started it, yeah, 2 to 3 years back. Till now, I have around 44K views, and I write about Angular and Visual Studio. I also write about .NET and Blazor, C Sharp, etc. Like till now, I have around 40 to 50 blogs, some problem-solving blogs, and some tips and tricks blogs. Like if you are interested, you can also visit my blog site. So this is my site, like devsuhas.com, and I also write at techme360.com/blog. Okay, I'll go to techme360 and I'll go to blog. Yeah, so here also I have written a couple of blogs, and here also we have some C Sharp Angular blogs I'll write. If you're interested, you can also follow these two sites, and if you want to stay connected, just follow me on Twitter. So this is my Twitter handle, and the same in LinkedIn and Facebook. Like in LinkedIn, it's Suhas Parameshwara, and Facebook is the same. If you're interested, follow me, guys. And if you are watching this session recorded in YouTube later, and if you have any doubts, you can reach out to me at any point of time. And you can also reach out in Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And you can also post it in the YouTube comments. I'll also check it out. And once again, I thanks Hasan. So basically, thanks for the opportunity. So thanks for speaking at your, giving a chance, speaking at your meetup. I hope we'll do it more regularly, and I'm also happy to speak in future events as well. So once again, thanks everyone, and thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, hi Hasan. I'm done with my session. Like, do we have any questions? I think you are on mute. Okay. So let me just ping him. Okay, so Asan, are you there? Okay. So let us wait for a couple of minutes. I think we are facing some technical challenges.
Suhas, we cannot view your screen.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Asan. I'm done with my session. Like just now, I have completed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was waiting for you actually.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was very much interesting. Actually, I have seen that. Um, Hope it will be very much useful for the developers and will be implemented in his area. Thank you very much, Vash.
Yeah. Thanks, Asan. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Hope you will again join with us.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. It was a nice session, and I think we have to move on to the next session. And the next session is on Azul, and our next speaker is Anbu is there. And hi, Anbu.